Hi, my name is Ann Vickers, and I am going to give you a short tutorial about restorative yoga. So we call it restorative for um, a number of reasons, but it's because it's an extremely restful and rejuvenating type of practice. It is about relaxation. We don't do anything big. It's about moving through about 5, sometimes 6 different poses in the 75-minute to 90-minute period of time that we have students captive. So I am doing this in conjunction with the Bainbridge Library, and I wanted to make sure that everybody who signs up for the class is prepared ahead of time with all of the props that you're going to need during class. And I'm going to show you a little bit about what we use the props for so you can find things in your house that are similar. So I recognize that I have actual yoga props and not everybody has those, and that's fine. We've got lots and lots of alternatives that we have in our own homes that will be perfectly fine. So restorative yoga, the importance of restorative yoga is just innumerable. So it's about taking ourselves, our bodies, and our nervous system out of the sympathetic nervous system and into the parasympathetic nervous system. So to explain that super easily, it's taking us out of the fight and flight mode when we're under stress, when that bear is running after us, right? And we're running away from the bear. That's our fight and flight. That's our sympathetic nervous system that takes over. And when that system takes over, we are singularly focused. Our creativity shuts down because it's all about survival. So we live in a world of stress, and we're constantly being drawn into this stress and into this fight or flight mode. And we don't give our bodies enough time to reset and recharge. And just because you go to sleep at night doesn't mean that you're actually getting that reset and recharge. So restorative yoga actually helps us to reconnect our bodies and our brain with the parasympathetic nervous system. So the parasympathetic nervous system is the rest and digest mode of our bodies, which is why there are a number of cultures in this world that after a meal, they rest, because we can't digest our food unless we're resting. So we have a tendency in this culture to eat on the run, and we do ourselves a huge disservice doing that because our digestive system does not work properly when we are continuing to move in our sympathetic nervous system in charge. So we want to be able to move into that parasympathetic nervous system and really reset, allow ourselves to rest and digest. So the other thing that happens in our when we're connected to our parasympathetic nervous system is we can completely relax. It gives our body a chance to actually heal itself, which is super important. So it is when our cells regenerate the best. It's when we can find the greatest creativity that we have. So there are so many different things. It helps our endocrine system, it helps our immune system, our digestive system. So we want to make sure that we give ourselves time to actually chill and rest. So restorative yoga helps us to really connect into that parasympathetic nervous system easily and effortlessly by just moving through, like I said, 5, maybe 6 different poses. Now, you'll want to have a comfortable space, free from interruption, a space where you can have it dark. And while you're watching on the screen, get your screen dimmed down as much as possible so that you're not continuing to keep the brain active. and you want to make sure that the temperature is perfect for you and understand that your body temperature is going to drop during this process. So some of the things that I find with restorative is it makes me feel almost like after I've had a massage. So when I have a massage, there is that period of time where when I can really relax it, I drop into my parasympathetic nervous system and my temperature actually drops down and I get just nice and relaxed, and it's a time to rest. So this is similar to that, and what we're doing for it though is we are creating an environment that allows our bodies to actually relax and get the brain and the parasympathetic nervous system to quiet down. So we want everything to go into what I call that chill mode, that nice, peaceful, relaxed state of mind, that place where we float like we're on a cloud and we're living large in life. So let's get started with the type of props. So I'm going to walk you through these props. I'll pause the video. I'll set up a bunch of alternatives and walk you through those. So we typically have 5 or 6 blankets. So these are the type of blankets. These are those Mexican blankets, and I will show you the size of these blankets. And you can see how I've got them folded. We do lots and lots of folding. So I am 5'3", and you can see how wide this blanket is. It's a little bit longer, about maybe 8 inches longer than my wingspan. And it's about the width of a twin size bed, or a blanket for a twin size bed. And we take the corners of our blankets, so we go corner to corner, and we're very fastidious about our folding, because the thing about the nervous system is if you have folds or anything wavy against your body, the nervous system's going to go, what is that? What is that? So it's very much the princess and the pea. So you want to get all of your edges lined up for your folds, and then have these blankets stacked so you can easily grab hold of them. Now, some options as well. I like to have, especially in the wintertime, I like to have fleece blankets. So you might have different kinds of fleece blankets available, throws that you use on your couch. So you can see this one's a little bit shorter, but this one's great for like wrapping around the legs, propping underneath the head. I have one that's even softer, and so you want to go with something that has loft, that has that nice thick pile to it, that's soft. We want soft, not scratchy blankets, things that have some cushion to them. And I have this smaller one, but I love it because it is so soft. It's that buttery soft fleece. And I like to use this one under my head throughout a restorative practice. So I don't even want to put one of these blankets because my head now has gotten so used to the softness of this blanket. Now in the summertime, having these types of blankets, you might get a little bit too warm. So just keep in mind, as you're choosing things, the temperature of your room, the space that you're in, the level of heat that you typically have in your body, that kind of thing. And we make a smaller folded blanket if you're going to use something like this for your head. So you can see it's just nice and cushy, compact. And then if you have blocks, we can use 2 to 4 blocks at any given time, but don't worry if you don't have any blocks. I will show you options for what to use instead of blocks, or how to set up and instead of having blocks. And then a strap that has a buckle on it so that you can make a loop. So you can see this is a firm loop. I'll hold it up here so you can see I can pull on it and my belt is not sliding. My strap is not sliding. And then we usually have a couple of bolsters. Now this is something that I know most people don't have, but I want to show you the size of the bolsters. So these are firm. You can see I can get on it and it's not going to squish all the way down. And it's the size of my foot to mid-thigh, and it works for my back or placing my legs on top or around, just placing them over. And I'll show you a couple of setup poses so that you can get an idea as you're pulling things out. This one is super thick and very firm. This is great for having it on your back, or if you're going to lie down on top of it, it does not crush at all. It's very, very firm. So it has a little bit of give because we want a little give, but this is like having a firm mattress here. So, and then we have a couple of hand towels. Now, if you're going to use hand towels or washcloths, get the softest ones that you have, because the other thing that the nervous system does is it recognizes if something is soft or something is rough. And you don't want to have a hand or an arm on a surface where your nervous system is saying, ooh, I don't like that feeling. Ooh, get it away from me. So have something that you like, place it against your face, see what you think of it. And then washcloths. So these are washcloths that have really never been used for anything except yoga. And these are great for placing a hand on top. We use the towels to sometimes muffle the hand so that it feels cozy and safe. The idea of restorative is making the body, the brain, and the nervous system feel very safe so that you can completely relax. A washcloth like this is also great for draping over the eyes, just ever so gently. You don't want anything heavy going on top of your eyes. So you can place a towel or a washcloth just gently on top of the eyes to block the light. And then again, since this is winter time now that we're going into, I know I just said the W word, yes. A cozy blanket is actually divine. So this is one of those throws. Again, it's not huge, but it's perfect. It's a little bit larger than my Mexican blanket, and this is great for throwing on top of myself to keep all of that body heat in, to keep me feeling nice and cozy. So if you have a favorite blanket or just a super soft one around that's going to keep you warm, I would recommend having one of those. So if you have a blanket that you can throw on top of yourself and you have a couple of fleece blankets, then having this many of kind of a thinner woven type blanket, these are all cotton, you would only need a few of these. You would only need probably three of these, maybe four. And you can get away with some beach towels and things like that. Now I'm going to pause for a moment and I'm going to go ahead and pull out some options so you can see some different things. So stay tuned. All right, so instead of a yoga strap, you can use something like a robe type belt. What the strap gets used for, so you can find what you're looking for, is we typically use it around the thighs. And what we're trying to do is hold the thighs in a straight line so that the femurs are coming directly out of the hips, and we can allow the legs to relax. And you can see when my legs relax, my feet want to drop out to the side, but then that starts pulling. So we would use the strap and make sure it's wide enough where you're not going to cut off circulation. So it's not about cutting off circulation. And you can place it around the thighs, or if we've got our legs up the wall, so I would make just a light knot, something I can pull out, but something that will hold my legs in place. If we have our legs up a wall, placing it around the shins will help to prevent some of that flaring that happens with the feet. So that's how you would manage a belt that comes from a robe. Now, if you have a belt that has a buckle and it's woven and pliable, so I wouldn't recommend a leather belt. I think a leather belt is a little too hard on the body. So the body is going to be aware of the belt to a certain extent, and you want to minimize the awareness so that the body can relax, so the nervous system can quiet down and stop thinking, stop telling the brain to think about the fact that you have a belt around your legs. So again, it works the same way, but this time I use the buckle, and then I would have that buckle so that it's not touching any skin. So if I had bare legs, I would want to make sure that the buckle's not touching the skin. And even when it's on top of material, sometimes it digs in. So don't let it dig in. Move it off, place it in the middle between the legs. So that's the type of belt you can find. So a pliable woven type belt or a robe type belt. So those are the kind of straps. Now, let's look at bolsters. So we have options for bolsters. So here's the regular bolster, and I grabbed 2 pillows. So you can see size-wise, it's about the same length, right? So I'll tip it up. You can see they're about the same length. This is a little wider, which is fine because this compresses more. Now watch what happens. You want to get pillows that have some density, some firmness to them. So I can press down on this. Now watch when I press on this. So I go a little bit lower, but it's not too bad. I did find this one's a little squishier. This one is nice and dense. This is a really good pillow. If I had 2 of these, I would be showing you 2 of these, but I grabbed what I could find that I was okay having in the basement. So what I might need to do is take a blanket and place the blanket on top to add just a little bit more thickness because I'm losing some of that from the squishiness of the pillow. So now when I press down, I'm about the same density. So both are about the same density. This is going to give me the options. So we use bolsters like this to lie down on and support us like that. I can do the exact same thing. I have a Bluetooth in this ear, so I'm going to have to move this to this side, placing my hip up here and just lying down, and it's like, it's perfect. So it's a little bit squishier, so you have to make sure that your spine doesn't have any dips taking place that are making you uncomfortable, and also make sure that you're able to get your elbows down to the floor or use a propped, another blanket to prop the arm so that you're not letting that elbow dangle. So those are important things to think about. Now this is from our outdoor furniture, and again, nice and dense. So pretty close to the other one. I would need a blanket on top just to get the same kind of feel, but this This is a little bit denser than my pillows, and I have found that the outdoor furniture gives me a lot of options. So if you have outdoor furniture, I would recommend looking at those cushions because they're ideal. And you don't have to invest in any type of bolsters if you're going to continue with your yoga practice. Now, this is also from my outdoor furniture, and this works in a similar way for what we use when we're working with our blocks and trying to create a setup where, I'm just going to unplug this, we use our blocks and set up the bolster on top of the blocks. Now, I have options for how to do this type of setup with the tall block and the medium-sized block and the bolster sitting right on top. So let me show you how we would do that with our outdoor furniture. Grab a couple blocks, and I also have a stool. So you might have a children's stool or step stool of some sort. So you can see it's a little bit taller than my block, but the step itself is very similar, and I can get away with using something like this and using the seat cushion of my outdoor furniture, using a blanket here for transition. I can get pretty close to the same. Now, the only thing that I find with this is better for legs up. I struggle with my arms here. So I would have to use pillows to actually give a place for my arms to go. And you want to get your hand and wrist higher than the elbow. So I would have to actually build this up. And because this is a towel, I would build it up from underneath. So I'm just showing you different ways of achieving what we're going to try to achieve with our restorative. Now, this is dense enough. I don't even need a blanket underneath my head. I feel like I've got the right angle with my head. My chin's not way far back. I don't feel like my head's dropping backwards. I don't have my chin tucking too far this way. So this is a really good position, and it feels good. The density of the cushion is perfect. So options for bolsters, and let me set up again. Now, I did forget an option here for building up for the arms or even using underneath the legs. So you can use throw pillows. Now, if you're going to have hands on these are two different types of material. So you would want to cover these with a pillowcase that feels good to the touch. And you want the same pillowcase on each of these pillows. And then these can also be used underneath the knees. So they do squish down a little bit more than having two pillows together or having the bolster. So if I take a pillow like this, and I would need my second pillow, which I don't have, but it would be similar to having a throw pillow and this other pillow. And you can see this is much more stable, and I have the right angle for my knees. My feet come down just about to the floor. I would then take a blanket or a towel, and again, having something softer than the towel underneath the Achilles heels will make your nervous system much happier. So throwing those things off to the side so you can see. This is how we would do a setup. So you can see I've got a blanket or a towel. I've got one pillow off of the bed. And this is my seat cushion, or I could have used the other cushion from my outdoor furniture. And I used a step stool behind. So that was how I created the angle that I needed. All right, so now I'm going to show you a couple of setups so you can see how we're going to be using the props, and then you can go and rummage through your house and find everything that you need. Hang on. All right, so here we have a setup, and this is going to be our lazy boy. You can also do a goddess setup with similar type of props. And again, you can use all those things that I was just talking about as props. So I have a blanket here. We call this a transition blanket. You're going to see that this edge is going to go into my low back. This bottom part makes it soft for me to sit on. And I would bring my back all the way to the base of the bolster. Then I take the bolster or the pillows, like I showed you just a few minutes ago, and place it underneath the knees. And then I would take a nice fat roll of blanket. So a blanket that's rolled neatly, so I'm not going to feel all sorts of bumps and crevices and things like that. And that would go behind my Achilles heels, making sure that that's feeling cozy. Now another option here is to take a blanket and wrap the blanket around the legs. Now I would typically also wrap around the feet, but I want you to just be able to see. So if I tucked under, because you're doing this all yourself, tuck it under, that's going to hold my legs together, and I don't even need one of those straps. So you can mummify your legs. And then I lie back, and I want enough blanket underneath my head so that if a drop of water hit my forehead, it would go all the way down to my chest. And then I would take my hands and tuck underneath the neck so that my neck feels supported. And then my arm is hanging, so I need something for my arm. We can use blocks or something similar. And whatever you use on the one side, use the exact same thing on the other. So you can build up with blocks, you can angle them, you can bring a blanket on top. So you're making it soft enough so my elbow is here. And then I can fold this end piece so that I get a nice angle where my hand is a little bit higher than my elbow. And my nervous system likes that type of angle. And I'd have the same setup on the other side, and then I can throw a blanket over the top of me. So this right here is a setup. Now, I have some students who have a shoulder that pulls forward or drops back. So having an extra blanket around to sometimes tuck into those areas, or maybe the back is such where this angle isn't quite right, or you need a little more support into the low back, having a blanket nearby where you can take a thin piece, and again, making sure that you don't add a lot of creases and bumps. You can take it and slide it in to give that extra support and let the body relax a little bit further. So this is a setup, shows you how we use the many different blankets. So this is 1, 2, 3 I'd have the same on the other side, 4, 5. 5 blankets just for this. And then enough bolsters. So I would need, if I was doing the pillows, I would need 2 pillows for this, and then something firmer, maybe a couch cushion, or if I have 2 really firm pillows, I could use those behind and then propping using something like these blocks. You know, maybe a footstool, and then some type of a firm box. Maybe you've got a wooden box or something like that, and you could place it on end. That would work. So it's just coming up with those different ways of viewing what it is that we're trying to do. Now I'm going to pause it again and show you another setup so you can see what that one looks like. So hang on. All right, so here is a setup for putting our legs up. You would need a chair, so a sturdy chair. Placing it against the wall helps to keep it from moving, or having a mat that you have underneath it will keep it from moving. You would need to build up underneath your rear end enough so that you can get a 90-degree angle with your knees. So you can test it at home or prior to the restorative class. So you can see my knees are at 90 degrees. I had to build up by a couple inches. I'm short. There aren't a lot of chairs that fit me. So if I didn't have the blanket, you can see the difference with my legs. My feet are hanging in the air. My knees aren't comfortable. I would not be able to stay here for very long. And then I placed a blanket over the edge of the chair, so I'm not feeling anything digging into the back of my legs. I like to have something soft underneath my head. Now, I've got these towels, so I have something soft, and so it's not cold. Like, I don't want to have my hand on the cold floor. That's going to bother me. So that would bother me. And then with your towel, you can even set it up where you create a little bit of a muff. So you can fold that towel over, but make sure the palm is feeling comfortable on there. So again, making sure you don't have the wrinkles that will bother your brain and your nervous system. And I would have the exact same thing on the other side, same towel. So this is a posture of legs up. And we can do legs up in different ways. So you don't have to use a chair. You can use other methods. So you can use the wall and blankets. So I'll move it this direction so you can see that with my blankets, I have one underneath that's stacked. That's going to give me the padding. And you'll have to play with how far away, how close you want this to the wall. And then I took another blanket and I opened it up and then placed it on top. Now, I don't want that fringe because that's going to bother me. So I want to put that underneath, hidden, and have a nice rounded edge, so the folded edge. And then I have to pull that away just a little bit. And this is where using the strap works. Let me just grab one of these straps here so you can see. So I come up against the wall, find my way onto the blanket. I do a little spin and lower myself down, bringing my legs up the wall. And I use the blankets to cradle my low back, my lumbar spine, and make sure that I don't have blanket. Like I've got this blanket here digging into my back. So I would change how much blanket I've got coming from the wall. And then I would take the strap and I would wrap it around my shins and just a light knot there to help allow the legs to relax. So now my legs can relax. I'm not afraid of my feet rolling off the wall, and I can start to relax into the pose. So that's legs up the wall. So legs up the wall versus legs up the chair. Similar. And we can also use this lovely setup that we had just a few minutes ago. And I can move everything off. I can take the blanket that was for my head on top and place it here. I can come in, scoot around, and place my legs up and come all the way down, my head on the blanket. And again, I can use a strap or I can use a blanket around my legs, and I can mummify my legs. So wrap the blanket around, tucking it in. It's a little harder to do yourself, but it's plausible. So possible. So we get the legs up. You can see I start to let my legs release. It's not quite as tight as having a strap, but my legs aren't going to roll off, and they feel pretty comfortable here. So we want nice and comfortable. This is another way to put the legs on. So giving you options of how we are going to move through this, knowing that we'll have legs up, we'll sit up, we'll lie down on our bellies, we'll be on our sides. We're going to be all over the place, and we need to have those 5 or 6 blankets, something to throw on top. The equivalent of 2 bolsters, so 4 firm bed pillows or 2 bed pillows and a narrower couch cushion. I like the narrower as opposed to that larger one that I showed you. And then a couple of washcloths, a couple of hand towels, and some type of a strap. And then if you've got something that can work for the blocks, that makes it ideal. But I also understand that finding something to work for the blocks is a little bit harder. You can stack up a couple of books. So when we're not using blocks to hold weight, the books work well. So they work well for propping a hand or the arms or something like that, but not as much for propping a bolster. So you could potentially use a smaller stack of books on the bottom as long as you had something firm here. You can also place this up against a wall to give you more stability, and then you could try the books as long as the books are pressing up against the wall so that you have that stability for holding you up. All right, well, that's it. And if you've got questions after you have viewed this, you can send them in to Jessica at the library, and she will get me those questions and I will answer them as quickly as I can. And I look forward to seeing you at the Bainbridge Library Restorative class online via Zoom. Talk to you later. Bye.